What is going on, everyone? Coming to y'all with another deck tech, and this one is on one of my all-time favorite decks. This is my Surging Commander 5-color dice rolling deck. So this is built around a lot of the dice rolling cards from Unglued, Unstable, Unhinged, and Unsanctioned. And the idea is to win off of As Luck Would Have It, which, you know, as luck would have it, I actually managed for the very first time just a couple days ago. I actually got to live not one, not two, but 3 different dreams with this deck all in the same game, and it made me really want to record this deck tech. Before I get too far into it, I want to give a special thanks to ALK Alters on Twitter for 2 of the cards you're going to see in here that there's no way in living hell I'd ever be able to play if it wasn't for him. So, big thanks, and I'll talk about that more whenever you see them, but let's go ahead and start in on the deck. So, Surging Commander is irrelevant. We play it because it is the only 5-color uncommander that we have. But, admittedly, the Birds of Paradise effect that it provides does help. I mean, we do use it as a mana dork, but let's go ahead and set him back here because I did not build off of him. I'm simply using him because I have to. Mana base, I'm going to mostly skip through because, like always, mana bases are boring, and I went very budget on this one's mana base. Very budget. And there are still a few things I'd like to pick up despite that. I would still love to get a City of Ass for this deck because it seems fun. Don't have one yet, but we have Command Tower. Underdome, which taps for a colorless or 1 mana of any color to cast silver-bordered spells or pay silver-bordered costs. Cascading Cataracts, because I have one laying around. A gold border City of Brass, because we're already in silver border, and I found that most EDH players don't mind gold borders anyways. Evolving Wilds to help fix our mana. I strangely don't have a Terramorphic in here. I probably should. World Tree is fantastic to help us fix. Murmuring Bosk is just a tri-land, and then we can go through a bunch of our Tarkir and Alara tri-lands. Nothing too special here, honestly. Couple random pain lands that I just had laying around, so I threw them in. They're probably actually going to get cut because I could use the Shivn Reef in another deck that I'm building. So, Shivn Reef, Carpet Illusion Forest. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 plains. 1, 2 islands. 1, 2, 3 swamps. 1, 2, 3 mountains. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forests. Into the mana ramp section. Gonna skip mostly through this because a lot of the stuff isn't that interesting, and you've seen it, but the silver border stuff I will stop and focus on. So Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Farseek, Land Aid 04. So for 2 green, we search our library for a basic land card, put it into play tapped, and shuffle our library. But if we sang a song the entire time we were searching and shuffling, we can untap that land, essentially turning this into a kind of Nature's Lore type effect. So at its floor, it's a rampant growth. At its ceiling, it's a different take on 3 visits in Nature's Lore, which seems fantastic. So, Selfie Preservation is 1 and a green for a sorcery. We search our library for a basic land and reveal it. If there's a tree in its artwork, we put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, we put it into our hand and then shuffle our library. Just a fun, kind of cute rampant growth. Sakura Tribolder needs no explanation, nor does Rampant Growth, nor does Cultivate, nor does Kadama's Reach. Feyburrow Elder, there's a dream I have yet to live with Feyburrow Elder, and I'll go ahead and tell you what that is. Making 7 colors of mana off of this. So, for those of you who don't know, in addition to white, blue, black, red, and green, the unsets technically introduced 2 additional colors of magic. One being gold for the gold dragon token we create off of Sword and Dungeons and Dragons. So you may look at that and just think, okay, gold frame is just a multicolor card. But no, gold is the color identity of that token. So with Feyburrow Elder in play, we can tap and make a gold mana, which is obviously worthless. We just use it like a generic cost, but it's still a thing that we can do. But what's the 7th color of mana? That would come from Water Gun Balloon Games' pink teddy bear tokens. Pink being the color identity of those tokens. So I haven't gotten to do this yet, but I want to get all 5 standard colors of magic in play. Then I want to get a pink teddy bear and a gold dragon and tap Feyburrow Elder to make 7 colors of mana and add pink and gold to my mana pool. I think that'll be fun. Beyond that, in 5-color decks, it's just a great mana dork in the first place. Then we have, as luck would have it, the primary win condition of this deck. So for 1 green, we have an enchantment with hexproof, and when we roll a die, we put a number of luck counters on, as luck would have it, equal to the result. Then, if there are 100 or more luck counters on it, we win the game. I actually finally got to do this recently. Finally got to do this just the other day, and it was so fun. It's very difficult to get there, but luckily, with the effects that say you can re-roll the die, or roll 2 and ignore 1, even though you're ignoring 1 or re-rolling 1, that number was still rolled, and it is still placed on the As Luck Would Have It. So with Krark's Other Thumb and like a Sword of Dungeons & Dragons, we do roll 2 d20s, and we add the total of both to As Luck Would Have It, which is just fun, and it helps out quite a bit. Next up is Jack in the Mox. Now, this is also a ramp card, but it rolls dice, and I wanted to put all the dice rolling cards together. So this is 0 mana for an artifact. We tap it and roll a d6. It has, the ability is based on the number that we roll. So on a 1, we sack it and lose 5 life. On a 2, we add white. On a 3, we add blue. On a 4, we add black. On a 5, we add red. And on a 6, we add green. So it's a Moxen that we can play in this deck. Why not? Ricochet says for 1 red, we get an enchantment with whenever a spell targets a single player. Each player rolls a d6. And the spell is redirected to the player who has the lowest roll. If 2 or more players tie for the lowest roll, they re-roll until there is no tie. Doesn't often come up. Honestly, targeting players isn't super common, but I don't care. I like the card, and I wanted to play it. Go to Jail is a removal spell. Says, when Go to Jail enters the battlefield, we exile target creature an opponent controls until Go to Jail leaves the battlefield. At the beginning of the upkeep of the exiled card's owner, they roll 2d6, and if they roll doubles, sacrifice Go to Jail. Just a fun removal spell. Goblin Tutor says for 1 red, we get an instant, roll a d6. On a 1, it has no effect. Otherwise, we search our library for a card with the indicated number. So on a 2, we find another Goblin Tutor. Basically, there's 2 whiffs. On a 3, we find an enchantment, which is always going to be As Luck Would Have It. On a 4, we get an artifact. On a 5, we get a creature. And on a 6, we get an instant or a sorcery. Just fun times. Steel Squirrel! So, 2 mana for a 1/1. When we roll a 5 or higher on a die, it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the result. And we can pay 6 to roll a d6. Chicken Egg. At our upkeep, we roll a d6, and on a 6, we sacrifice the chicken egg and make a 4/4 giant chicken. Strategy, Smategy. 1 and a red for a sorcery, roll a d6. On a 1, do nothing. On a 2, destroy all artifacts. On a 3, destroy all lands. On a 4, deal 3 damage to each creature and each player. On a 5, we Wheel the Fortune. And on a 6, we repeat the process 2 more times. How much fun is that? Inhumaniac says at the beginning of our upkeep, we roll a d6. On a 3 or a 4, we put a +1/+1 counter on an Inhumaniac. On a 5 or higher, we put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And on a 1, we remove all +1/+1 counters from it. Hydrodoodle is XX and 2 green for a 0/0. As it enters the battlefield, roll X 6-sided dice. And it enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the results. And it has reach and trample. Old Buzzbark is kind of a chaotic nightmare, but basically it's X, a red and a green, and when it enters the battlefield, we roll X d6. And, well, actually, sorry, we roll them from a height of at least X inches above the table. For each die touching one of our things, we put a +1/+1 counter on it equal to the result. And for each one touching an opponent's creature, it deals damage to that thing equal to the result. So kind of a nightmare, but still very fun. Sword of Dungeons and Dragons, I have gotten to live the dream at one point with this. Actually, hitting a natural 20 twice. Twice in a row in the same game. And it was glorious. So, +2/+2 and protection from rogues and clerics. When it deals combat damage to a player, we create a 4/4 gold dragon creature token with flying, and then we roll a d20. If we roll a 20, we repeat the process. And again, I have actually hit the nat 20s on this, which is just so much fun. Jumbo Imp. ETB, roll a 6-sided die. It enters with a number of 1/1 counters equal to the result. At our upkeep, we roll a d6 and put a number of counters onto it equal to the result. And at our end step, we roll a d6 and remove that many counters. Mad Science Fair Project, tap, roll a d6. On a 3 or lower, we add a target player adds a colorless, and on anything higher, so 4, 5, to 6, they instead add 1 mana of any color to the mana pool. We always target ourselves, obviously. Pippa, Duchess of Dice, 2 and a green for a 2/2. We can pay 2 and a green to roll a d6 and have it become a die creature token with power and toughness equal to the results, or we can pay 2 and a blue to re-roll any die. Paniac lets us roll a d6 on our upkeep and give it +X+O equal to the results. Poultrygeist says whenever a creature dies, we may roll a d6. On a 1, we sacrifice the Poultrygeist, otherwise we put a +1/+1 counter on the Poultrygeist. Willing Test Subject says whenever we roll a 4 or higher, we put a 1 counter on it, and we can pay 6 to roll a d6. Free Range Chicken is pay 1 and a green to roll 2d6. If both results are the same, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that result. However, if they are equal to another set that we've rolled this turn, we have to sacrifice the Free Range Chicken. Elvish Impersonators, ETB, roll the d6 twice. Its power is equal to 1 result, and its toughness equal to the second. Dungeon Master! This is where I have to thank ALK. This is one of the 2 cards he provided for this deck. If you don't know, this was a Heroes of the Realm promo, not technically Commander legal, but to be fair, none of the rest of this also isn't technically Commander legal. And this says for 2, a white and a blue, we get a Planeswalker Dungeon Master. It enters the battlefield with 1d4 plus 1 loyalty, so that is going to put counters on as luck would have it. +1, target opponent makes a 1/1 black skeleton token, and it has, when this creature dies, each opponent gains 2 life. The other +1 is we roll a d20. On a 1, we skip our next turn. On a 12 or higher, we draw a card. And on the -6, we create an adventuring party. So, an adventuring party is, let's go ahead and bring this in so you can read it. Hopefully, it's a lot of glare, so maybe you can't read that. A 3/3 red warrior named Fighter with First Strike, a 1/1 white cleric with lifelink, a 2/2 black rogue with hexproof, and a 1/1 blue wizard with flying. And I have gotten to create that adventuring party, and it was so much fun. Next up is Karis and the Beholder, another Heroes of the Realm promo. This proxy also provided by ALK, and it's also super fun. So for 1, 2 green and 2 white, we get a 1/20 legendary creature Dragon Eye Wizard with flying. When it ETBs and at the beginning of our upkeep, we make a 1/1 human token, and we do a charisma check, which is roll a d20. So, if the result plus the number of creatures you control is greater than 11, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. If the result is a natural 20, for each non-legendary creature you control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. Super fun stuff, and I have yet to actually get this in play, but I'm very much looking forward to it. Garbage Elemental, Cascade, and whenever ETBs, we roll a d6, and it deals damage equal to the result to target opponent. Spark Fiend, sadly, I only have 20 minutes of recording time, so I'm going to have to speed through these. So a few of these I'm not going to be able to actually read, but I will put them in front of the screen to be paused and read. This one's going to take far too long, so feel free to pause and read this one. A huge wall of text. The big idea, 4 and 2 red for a 4/4, we can pay 2 and 2 Rakdos Hybrid to roll a d6, and make a number of Brainiacs equal to the result. Tap 3 untap Brainiacs. The next time we would roll a d6, we roll 2 instead, and use the total of those results. So, fun stuff. It kind of helps us manipulate our rolls. Urza's Science Fair Project has a bunch of different abilities dependent on what we roll, and we can pay 2 to roll the d6. Socketed Sprocketeer, we can uninstall all results from it, and then roll a d6 and install the result onto it. Whenever we uninstall a result, you may uninstall a result to use it as a die that you would roll, and if you uninstall the 6, you can draw a card. Snickering Squirrel increases the result of a die by 1. Goblin Bookie lets us re-roll a die or re-flip a coin. Wall of Fortune lets us tap a wall, usually it, to re-roll a die. Krark's Other Thumb lets us roll 2 die instead of 1 and ignore one of them. Squirrel Powered Scheme increases the result of each die by 2. Chicken a la King lets us tap an untapped bird to roll a d6, and whenever we roll a 6 on a 6-sided die, we put a 1/1 counter on each bird. Clam I Am says when we roll a 3 on a 6-sided die, we may re-roll that die. Chittering Doom says when we roll a 4 or higher on any die, we make a 1/1 squirrel token. Water Gun Balloon Game, I have to read this one because I talked about it. So for 2 mana, we get an artifact. As it enters the battlefield, each player puts a pop counter on 5. When a player casts a spell, move that player's pop counter up 1. Sorry, put a pop counter on 0. When they cast a spell, move the pop counter up 1. And whenever the player's pop counter hits 5, they create a 5/5 giant pink teddy bear creature token, and it resets all counters to 0. So, just a fun game. Baron Von Count, I also got to live the dream with this guy recently, actually destroying target player. We have tons of numbers represented thanks to all of our dice rolling effects, so it's a very fun way to kill somebody. Bevy of Beebles. I just wanted a place to play this silly magic card. And again, I wish I could read everything, but I'm running out of time, so feel free to pause and do so. D-Spark is just solid removal, as is Reality Shift. Alexander Clamilton is one of my favorite cards in this deck. I love the Hamilton musical. And the Scry 2 off a wordy spell is actually really relevant. Getting to duel with it is both depressing when he dies and funny when he wins. Love this card. Wear Tear, more efficient removal. Kill Destroy! Destroy target non-black creature. Gotcha! Whenever opponent says kill or destroy, we can say gotcha and get Kill Destroy back to our hand from the graveyard. Very powerful card. Quandra's Command. Kind of just wanted to try it out, see how it would do in a low power deck like this. It seemed like a good enough place to give it a shot. Who, what, when, where, and why. So, this is a modal card. We choose the one we want. Either target player gains X life, or destroy target artifact, or counter target creature spell, destroy target land, or destroy target enchantment. Day of Judgment, boring old board wipe, but oddly uneven is a very fun board wipe. 3 and 2 white, choose one, destroy each creature with an odd number of words in its name, or each creature with an even number of words in its name. Just fun and goofy. Treasured Find is just a way for us to regrow some cards out of our yard in case something important, like as luck would have it, got milled. Same thing with Down and Dirty, it's always just the dirty side. Seeds of Renewal, more ways to get back our win con and other fun spells. Idyllic Tutor, to find our as luck would have it. Ancient Excavation, to help us draw into some new cards, or to basic land cycle. Negate, to stop people's unfun cards that would kill our as luck would have it. And Counter Squall, to do more of the same. So that has been my 5-color dice rolling deck built around Surgeon Commander. Again, big thanks to ALK Altars for providing me with the proxies of Dungeon Master and Kharazim the Beholder. My play group always gets a good laugh when I sit down and play this deck, and when playing Plane Chase, it can be a lot of fun because my reroll any die effects work on the planar die, so I can kind of guarantee, or help to guarantee, that we get out of wherever we're going. So, very fun. Love the deck. Obviously, it's a casual deck. Obviously, you'd have to ask your meta if it's okay for you to build and play this deck yourself, but if they're willing to let you do so, I definitely recommend it. Silver Border EDH can be a ton of fun, and there's nothing that feels better than winning off as luck would have it due to all of your lucky die rolls. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, peace and take care.